Good morning and welcome to Thursday's Early Morning Intuitive Guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to get us all thinking about things and maybe deciding to make some changes and clean up some karma. Today's card is actually, well, it's not even a card, it's out of a book about cleaning up karma. So we all have that stuff in our past that has kind of tailed along with us and we don't feel too great about it and we shove it down, and periodically it pops to the surface and we're like playing whack-a-mole with it. Here's the opportunity to actually address it in some way. So we'll see what you think of this chapter, but I found it, and it's very short, it's a very short chapter, so I found it very intriguing to think about it, how I might apply this. So we'll give it a minute here till people start popping on, and then we'll dive into the chapter. But as always, let's start with our breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let your shoulders drop. In through the nose. Good morning, Cindy. You're the first one today. Out through the mouth. In through the nose, drawing in healing energy. Out through the mouth, letting anything go that no longer serves you. And the counter is jumping up quickly, 2, 4, whatever, and no names are rolling. So welcome to all of you who are here, but the feed hasn't caught up yet. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good morning, Bobby. Let's take the next one a little bit deeper. In through the nose, hold, and out. Feeling that relief as you let it go. Letting go of anything that does not serve you. There may be things that leave on the breath that you're thinking, well, maybe I need that yet. No, if it's leaving on the breath, there's the indication that you no longer need it. So, a little bit of tapping right here. Good morning, Mel. Glad you are here. Welcome. And I don't know about for you, but for me, this is one of the very soothing tapping points. Just kind of feels like it grounds me. One more breath. Let it go. All right. So today we are back to Tosha. Outrageous openness, letting the divine take the lead. Tosha Silver. And yes, and this is an interesting little chapter. And I modified the title a bit just because I figured how she titled it and how it flowed in the course of the book made total sense. But taking it out of the context of the book, people who are just looking, well, what's Bonnie talking about today, might go, that doesn't have any relevance for me. Oh, yes, it does. But the original title is To Catch a Thief. And I could see someone saying, well, that isn't relevant. I don't know. I'll just skip today's. And I didn't want that to happen. So good morning, Gwen. Glad you're here. Welcome. And I think someone slipped past. So welcome to everybody who's here. We have 5 of you here with me right now, and we'll go from there. But there's a quote with this one, and it's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs. That's all that's here. Good morning, Nancy. Welcome. But I can't tell you the amount of oof that's packed in here. And hopefully you will feel that oof and go, yeah, how does this apply to me? How does this fit? How could I make this be relevant for what I need to do for me right now? So let's see where we go. To Catch a Thief. For those of you who have the book and like to follow along, it's page 198. And the quote is, upon being established in non-stealing, there occurs the attainment of all prosperity. So in other words, you open yourself to prosperity when you don't just take what you want or think you need, but when you allow it to come to you. When you take the steps you need to take to open up to receiving it, but it's about allowing the universe to deliver to you what you need rather than getting it in an ill-gotten way. Good morning, Beth. Welcome. And that is by Patanjali Yoga. It's one of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, II 37. So, I might end up reading this a couple of times just so that the message kind of twinkles around us, if you want to call it that, and then settles in exactly as it needs to for each of us. I've written a lot about divine source, the knowledge that all prosperity and good comes from God, spirit, universe, source, however you want to look at it, not any individual person or job. When we trap ourselves in believing my prosperity comes from my job, my prosperity comes from climbing the ladder, my prosperity comes from the inheritance I'm going to get, blah blah blah, we are locking ourselves into scarcity right there by that thought process. So to open up to prosperity, let's see what we need to do. Once you know how to tap this source, you trust that it is meant what is meant for you will come in an organic way. This is a completely learnable skill. So if you're going, well, that's not at all what I was taught. Was taught you had to work hard, blah blah blah, get your pension and then die. No. We can change that thought process. Again, that's a limited way of looking at prosperity and abundance. So here's the story she's going to share to make her point. A well-known author called me for a reading once. She said she picked me when she heard from someone that I wasn't particularly impressed with fame. Good morning, Cheryl. Glad you're here. Welcome. I admitted that with 4 planets in egalitarian-minded Aquarius, that was pretty true. In other words, Tosha doesn't get all bent out of shape when it's someone who has a reputation, someone who's a star. Everyone is a chart to me, a colorful expression of God at the costume ball, all dressed up and pretending to be human. Maybe that's just what happens after a zillion readings. And anyway, I'd seen up close how money and power alone brought little contentment, no matter what this nutty culture claimed. Well, the writer was calling to confess. While she had made a fortune with her books, she knew she had stolen her work, lifting them from a humble, self-published tome years before. She had never reached out to the guy for permission or acknowledged him in any way. Now here's the kicker. While the original author never came after her, this woman lived in scarcity and fear despite her vast success because she knew she had done wrong, right? So she's living from this place of this is ill-gotten prosperity. Let's see. There we go. If she had 2 houses, she wanted 3. If she was on 1 talk show, she wanted 10. She lived in a perpetual state of restless, roaming greed, like an itinerant, hungry ghost. Her stealing had locked her into a prison of lack. Oof. I suggested she finally reach the man, who still lived in nearby El Cerrito, to make serious amends and restitution. She was relieved at the thought. Her karma would have to be reversed before she could ever feel abundant, no matter how much she owned. So what do you pull from that story? What do you pull from those words? I'm going to go back and read parts again. But what's the first thing that pops in your mind with that? First thing that pops into my mind is how having gotten her success in an inappropriate way set her up to be locked forever into scarcity. No matter how much abundance she literally had, up here and in her heart and her soul, there was scarcity, there was lack. Good morning, Peggy. Welcome. Glad you're here. So she had to clean up the mess she had made in order to free herself to enjoy the abundance. So, and oftentimes when it's this kind of a thing, someone will say, well, I don't even know how to compensate that person. How do I make amends? Good morning, Janine. Welcome. I think we can learn a ton from AA people with regard to making amends. When you have done something like lost your job, had a bunch of DUIs, spent time in jail, lost your house, your family, etc., maybe killed somebody with a car accident, you have some serious karma to clean up. And the how you do that is going to vary from person to person. But to tune in within, what do I need to do? What am I being guided to do to make amends? And likely the messages you're going to get from yourself in terms of what you need to do to make amends are going to be very uncomfortable things. Very uncomfortable things. Owning your behavior with people who are furious with you and so hurt over the stuff you've done really is a difficult life walk. It really is. But so healing. And there was just someone I was talking to, this was about a little different issue, but she had gotten some guidance with regard to her ex-husband. And her comment was, well, if we have the opportunity, we might as well clean up more of this karma this lifetime so we don't have to do it the next one, right? So, one of the things I will say to you is if you're thinking right now about a situation that is unfinished business in your life where maybe you need to atone, let's just do it. Put your hand on your chest, take some breaths, be curious. Approach this guidance from a place of curiosity. And yes, you may have other feelings there. You may feel shame, you may feel guilt, you may feel embarrassment, you may feel humiliation, you may feel all kinds of stuff. See if you can stick with the process anyway. So breathe in, breathe out, and just go within. Go to your heart and soul. Show up humbly. Okay, I've screwed up. I've screwed up so big, I don't even know what I could possibly do to make amends for this. Give me some guidance. What's a good first step? And listen. And some of you might be hearing things like, write them a letter, give them a call, do a ritual for clearing. If that person is deceased and you can't reach out directly, and the rule of thumb with AA is you make amends to the extent that you can do so without creating further harm. Without creating further harm. So I can think of all manner of things that I've seen people do with this. Let's say someone took some money. Let's say they were actively in a drug addiction and they took money out of their mother's purse 25 years ago. And their mother's now deceased. They're in recovery, but they've got this lingering thing, right? I did my mother wrong. Do something with that. Pick a charity that she loved. Make a multiple donation to that charity in her honor to make amends for your behavior. When you tune in, you'll get some guidance, and sometimes that guidance is kind of strange stuff. So it might be, write a letter and burn it. You're going, why would I burn it? That's not going to be helpful to that person. Energetically, yes, it is. That might be one of those situations where reaching out directly may cause more harm than good. So then you can do it as a ritual. I write this letter, I purge all this stuff into the letter, and I ceremonially burn it. I'm sending it up. That's kind of the way the native people in the area where I lived in Michigan believed. Put it in the fire, it'll be taken up to Creator. Send those wishes, send those things that need healing up to Creator to be dealt with. So, what about for you? What's one of those circumstances for you where you said something, you did something, whatever it was, that you feel like it would be good if I made amends? It would be good if I made amends. And here's the other thing I'm going to say about that. One of the things that I tell survivors, abuse survivors, if they think it's important to confront their perpetrator, before they ever do that, I want to set them up that it's not at all about getting that person to admit what they did, because the vast majority of them, over 90%, will not. It's about you speaking your truth and then letting that be. Whatever kind of reaction you get, you may not get any reaction, right? But the goal is for you to say what you need to say, not for them to respond in a way that's appropriate. Okay? Same with this kind of thing. The goal is for you to say what you need to say, atone as you can, and it's not about that other person forgiving you. They may want to continue to hold a grudge. That is absolutely their choice. Absolutely their choice. But you will have done what you can do to attempt to make amends and move on. It might be you donate money in their name to something that they value. That might be what you do. If it's some other kind of a thing, maybe you had a really bad day and you said something that you could not now take back, and it really has damaged that relationship. Do some atonement, whatever things you can think of. And that doesn't mean that you prostrate yourself before this person and, mea culpa, but that you do what you can from that place of heart and soul to rectify the situation. Okay? So I want to read this first little bit again, because I think this is the piece that I'd like all of us to take with us as much as possible and take action on. All right? I've written a lot about divine source, the knowledge that all prosperity and good comes from God, spirit, nature, however you view it, not any individual or job. Once you know how to tap this source, you trust that it is meant for you, that what is meant for you will come in an organic way. So we don't need to dictate. I know there was that whole movement of, okay, I want this car in this color with this, features, blah, 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 being as specific as possible. Go ahead and do that, but then let it go. This or something better. This or something better. Perhaps there's something better that the universe knows will serve you more fully. So I'll give you an example. I've been searching for a new car. New to me, not new. My 2012 is having issues. I was thinking I wanted that same vehicle. It's a Subaru Outback, or smaller. What do I need bigger for? Smaller. All the ducks are lining up in a row for me to get a 2019 Ascent, which is bigger. But I'm not questioning the universe. If this is how this thing unfolds, there's a reason why. Thank you for posting that, Cindy. There's a reason why it's unfolding that I'm getting this bigger vehicle. Perhaps I'm going to be hauling a bunch of furniture. Perhaps who knows what it'll be. But if the guidance is, if this comes to fruition and this is what happens, even though in my head I was thinking I want it smaller, if this is the guidance, if this is the way this thing unfolds, I'm going to honor it. I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to honor it. So for you, I'd like to invite you to open yourself to receive this or something better, whatever's in your highest and best good, guidance, whatever it is. And allowing that the universe may know better than you do in terms of what's in your highest and best good. Try that on. Play with that a little bit today. See what you think. So have an awesome day, everybody. Happy Thursday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.